goes backwards. Welcome to another episode of I'd Podcast That 2.0. Thank you for listening. If you're listening to this podcast on one of your favorite podcast players, I want to let you know you're getting 20% of what this show has to offer. The other 80% you'll find over on Substack. It is a paid tier, but if you find value and I'm helping you with your podcast planning or execution, you're going to find that much more value over there. And it is our goal to make it worth the $8 a month we're asking for the content. So today's show is entitled Why and What to Whom? You know, Simon Sinek said, what is your why? And understanding why you're going to do anything is extremely important, in my opinion. Number two, we live by a rule here. If you can't measure it, don't do it. So why are you creating a podcast? And the cool thing with podcasting is everything you do is measurable to reinforce your why. For example, this show, why I'm doing I'd Podcast That I'd Podcast That 2.0 to help facilitate Sitch Radio's goal of helping you tell your story. So some of this content is free, some of it's behind a paywall, but it's got the mission to help you tell your story via podcasting. What? I'm talking about podcasting. Tips, tricks, techniques, planning strategies, social media strategies, the whole nine yards. So that's the what. To whom? Anybody looking into starting a podcast, whether it be hobby or personal. Now let's circle back to that why. In addition to helping you tell your story, we're proving out a couple of models. Number one, Monday through Thursday being behind a paywall. Is that a viable monetization strategy to offset the cost of production? We'll see. Time will tell. Number two, Friday's episode, in addition to being on all your free favorite podcast players, will eventually also be on RSS 2.0 players. You can find it there already. However, the monetization still broke. We're still working that out. And we're doing that for a couple of reasons. Number one, to understand the process of taking your show, putting it on a platform that supports the value for value plan where people can transfer you Satoshis, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, because they're finding value in what you're doing. A second monetization strategy, in addition to how does this work? Now it's young, it's new, it's still being developed, and it's proven quite tricky for me on getting the show and the value for value monetization aspect set up, but we're working on it. And eventually when it's done, I want to do an entire episode just on that step by step, because it's, again, proven quite tricky for me. So that is the why, what, to whom of this show. And I encourage you to figure out, why do you want to start a podcast? Is it you're passionate about, say, Yogi Bear, and you want to do a podcast on Yogi Bear, the cartoon? Hey, boo boo. Or is it a business podcast where you're going to share your business insights? Or maybe you're bringing people on and utilizing your podcast as lead gen. Or maybe you're simply doing it for an internal newsletter for employees only. There's many whys. But understanding your why is going to help you develop that show. To whom? Obviously, it's open to the world, but you're going to have a target niche audience. For example, if I was going to do a podcast geared towards female photographers, that's going to tell me what my set should look like if you're doing video, how you should speak. Not that we speak to men and women differently, but, you know, maybe some softer language. Thirdly, what social platform should we be on? Well, Pinterest has a high ratio of female users to male users. It's a very visual medium. And if you're talking to female photographers, that's a place you might want to be, in addition to Instagram, because again, it's more visual than anything else. So understanding your why and what to whom is really going to dictate a lot of the planning and preparation that goes into producing your show, no matter how frequent you are going to produce it. So, I want to circle back to your target audience. It's whom you intend to speak to, not that they're the only people you're speaking to. You're going to have outliers that fall into your fold, but maybe it wasn't your initial intent to speak to them. And it's really weird because if you're paying attention to your analytics and you're engaging with your audience, you might be able to expand that niche a little bit or maybe narrow it down a little bit, really focusing on those that are going to find value in the content that you're creating. Wow. I think I covered it all. This is a very short episode, but why and what to whom? And listen, there's more resources. If you go to idpodcastthat.com, it's going to redirect you to the I'd That Mighty Network, where there's tons of information and resources being put up weekly for you to consume there. Tips and tricks. You can also engage with me there. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and engage with me there. Check us out at sitchradio.com, where you'll find this show, the Friday version, in addition to several ways to get a hold of me. If you like what we're doing and like what we're talking about here, please share this with your friends. Give us a 5-star rating. A few kind words are always appreciated. And, share it on your favorite social media platform. Until next time.